So, on today's video, I'm going to talk to you about Wanton Thought. So, Wanton Thought, purveyors of the new mould sound, as John Peel said when he played their 7-inch single on his programme way back in 1991. The third release on Boss Tuneage came out in January 1991. You can see it's the days before I knew where to buy 7-inch poly sleeves from, so these were actually put in sandwich bags. As you can see, it's still got the old address sticker. This is actually an unsealed copy from 1991, so 30 years old, this thing. So, Wanton Thought, I first heard them on the Splurk compilation, Splurk 2 in fact, that Ian Armstrong put out on Meantime Records. And probably like most people who actually bought the Splurk compilation at the time thought, what on earth is up with the production on that song? And it was only later on that I discovered from the band that when they were told to send in a 1/4-inch master, remember this was back in the days before anyone could just put together a compilation on their computer or anything like that, so you had to basically book studio time to edit together all 1/4-inch tapes, and DAT tapes were just coming in then. So they sent a 1/4-inch tape, but they didn't send a mixed studio 1/4-inch tape. So basically what you hear on the Splurk comp is just the guide guitar and the drums. It's a multi-track tape, so half of all the guitars, backing vocals, everything like that was all missing. So yeah, that's why it sounds so weird on there. When I actually finally heard the proper version of Normal School Day, I thought, what a cracking song. But anyway, so at the time, it must have been sort of autumn 1990 kind of time, I get a call from Andy Turner, better known as Tez, the singer of the Instigators, who was running a label called Full Circle at the time. And basically, he was looking around because he was going to do an album by Wanton Thought and was looking for someone to release a 7-inch single by them. Basically, they were supposed to release this 7-inch single on Looney Tunes, but at the time Bob's and Set, for whatever reason, had delays, couldn't commit to when it was going to be out. So Andy contacted me, and basically the lure was that he would buy a ton of them off me to do promotion, to use for promotion for the LP he was going to put out at a later date. So anyway, I got in touch with Craig, the drummer, and we had a phone call. Remember, no email, no internet in these days, and explained it. And they basically wanted to go back into the studio to re-record Cruelest Joke, one of the songs, because the original version of that, which unfortunately we couldn't find for the comp CD, which I'll talk about later, was about 5 minutes long, and they wanted to do an edited version of that. And they agreed they were also going to record a track for a compilation LP that Full Circle were going to put out called Consumer, which was In the Glue, was the track there. And they also, I persuaded them to record a song for the Floor 81 compilation, which I had planned, which was lost. So they went in and re-recorded those, and then we got the master back, and it went off to the plant in Hungary that used to press these things. So as you can see, it was all done on really tight budget. So as I showed you with the 7-inch before, it was just the record. There's a A4 lyric sheet in here. I won't get out now because, like I say, this has never been opened. Why should I open it now? I'm not going to do one of those big reveals like the people do on YouTube. But the 7-inch sleeve itself was actually photocopied yellow A3 paper, which we then cut down to size. It looks like I was getting a bit bored with cutting the way that's cut there. Basically, we bought a guillotine, and then what I used to do on the big A3 paper was put flyers around the outside. So we cut those out by hand, fold them up, seal them up and everything, and then we'd have, like, if there was 6 flyers I think on this, so we had like 3,000 flyers we could then send out in the mail with orders and round on the underground scene at the time to announce that it was coming. So yeah, so it came out and it was fantastic, got a fantastic reaction. We sold a few, obviously Andy took a few, and we were sending some through down to SRD, who were distributing us at the time via parcel line, who lost the box. So all of a sudden we had a record out and I didn't have any spare stock to actually send to them, because I think I'd agreed to send them down 200 or something like that of the 500 we pressed. So we had to repress it. And lo and behold, we got those back I think 4 or 5 weeks later. In the interim, I remember John Peel played it, which was really exciting. The band basically were from this really tiny village near Mold in North Wales, in Clwyd, and called Sachdyn, I think, from memory. And John Peel did describe them as the near mold sound. That's the sound of near mold when he played Cruelest Joke, and he also played Sewn Up, I think, on the B-side as well at the time. So anyway, so we got the repress done. We sent down 75 of those, and they arrived the same day as the missing 200 box. So all of a sudden, SRD had way too many 7-inches than they needed, and we were left with a second pressing that we didn't really need after all. So had I pressed about 700 of this, that would have been perfect. But the other 300 hung around for a very, very long time, especially because unfortunately the band did sort of split up fairly soon afterwards. So yeah, it's a cracking little 7-inch single, and you know, I was really pleased to do it at the time. It fitted in with the whole kind of scene of bands that were developing behind the likes of Snuff and HDQ, and yeah, it just was brilliant. I really liked it, and I think actually we came to later on obviously decide when we were doing the retro series on Boss Tuneage, I definitely wanted to do a Wanton Thought compilation. One, so people could hear Normal School Day how it should have actually sounded in the first place, and two, just because In the Glue never actually got released, which I thought was their best song, because that for whatever reason Andy didn't put out that compilation LP. So we put out a 10-track CD in I think 2012, which contained the 4 tracks from the 7-inch, the 4 tracks from their second demo, which included Normal School Day, and then Lost from Floor 81, and In the Glue, which was like the unreleased track. And yeah, it's a cracking little record. Really like it. As far as what the band went on to do, like I say, they did split up in the summer of about 91, so it was about 6 months after the 7-inch came out, which is a real shame, so they never recorded that LP full circle. But Craig went on and did All Too Human, who I think appeared on a couple of Looney Tunes comps and things like that at the time, which was much more like a Killing Joke thing that he was getting into. And then later on he got in touch with me in about 2001, I think, because he'd started a new band called Rope. And we ended up doing their mini CD, and they also appeared on one of our instant singles compilations at the time. So yeah, so Wanton Thought, that's probably everything you needed to know, and probably more, about a little band from North Wales. It's a cracking little single, and if you've not heard them, then check them out. That's it for this time, and I'll see you on the next video.